Songs and ballads, the musician bowed, never end, dear lady, because poetry is eternal and immortal. It knows no beginning, it knows no end. Today on Circle Theory, we explore the meaning of art in The Witcher, and we break down the themes surrounding it. So I hope that you join us today.
Toss a coin to your Witcher, oh Valley of Plenty.
So we're hopping into ideas about art here and seeing it as a reflection. Specifically, our narrator is that of the bard, the Jaskier, or Dandelion as he's called in the English interpretation, that frames all of this and is constantly making notes about how he is reflecting the true story, whether it is factually accurate or not. And we see this repeated throughout the series in this book and others, that he is speaking to a deeper truth, and we should understand this as our narrative lens. That The Witcher can be seen as a creative act explored through the perspective of the poet. This is something that Rollo May talks about quite a bit in his works on creativity. And so from the gate, we can start seeing some of this reflection. One of my favorite quotes in it says, at the beginning, he goes, "You are wrong, 14th one." The metallic, inhuman voice sneered. "You've mistaken the stars reflected on the surface of the lake at night for the heavens." And here we see a clear connection to Plato's allegory of the cave. As we were discussing in that work, the individual comes out of the cave and can only understand the sun by seeing its reflection in the water. Here we're seeing a connection to the idea that what we see as real might not necessarily be truth. That we may only understand shadows, the matrix perspective, that we're not seeing what is actually being puppeteered behind us. And from the gate, this is what our villain is suggesting, that our characters and heroes don't actually know what's going on. They can only see a reflection. They don't actually know heaven. They died with her name on their lips. The Witcher continued quietly, repeating her challenge, her cry. They died for Sherwood, because Sherwood was a symbol. They died for the stone and marble. Just as she promised them, they died with dignity, heroically and honorably. They saved their honor, but brought nothing but ruin as a result. And so this is a connection to the creative act itself. That to create something and to make something new, as Picasso would say, is first an act of destruction. And even when we try to protect an idea from its inevitable ruin, we may come to understand that there is no chance that we will be the captain going down with the ship. Geralt makes a note about this, and it's almost hard to understand what he really thinks, but he says nothing but ruin was a result of this honor and dignity and heroicism. And so he is suggesting a very wise concept for his pupil, and that is that be weary of letting nothing but ruin come from your dignity, from your honor. Though this is what is necessary to protect an idea, even if you fail. And we see this brought up again as we hop into a warning. It says, he knew that the disdain for death and the crazy courage of youngsters stemmed from a lack of imagination. He knew that perfectly well. He had once been such a youngster himself. He understands that what is meant to be young is to destroy what is old to replace it with something new. That this is an act of change. And so from the frame, I believe that The Witcher is being set up for us to understand it as being a destructive creative act. That it is being the young piece to go and change the status quo and interrupt. And so it's going to cast a lens in which we can explore various themes that we're going to do throughout the rest of this series. We have now used art as a way to represent a deeper truth that we cannot communicate or articulate because we lack the vocabulary or the ability to be able to share that. And this is where we pick up next week as we talk about the themes of racism and classism, which will be a rather difficult subject to dive into, but is given to us from the gate as the context for understanding this work. So I hope to catch you next time here on Circle Theory.
From when the White Wolf fought a silver-tongued devil, his army of elves, at his hooves did they revel. They came after me with masterful